Hi, it's me again, Shiralyn J. Lee, author and reader, and today I want to talk about writer mistakes. Forgive the light keep changing. I swing on my chair and I have the window right behind me, so I'm probably making the light go up and down a bit. Sorry. So, writer mistakes. So all too often we come across this. She watched, or she watched as Jane slammed the door, or she saw Jane slam the door. To write it from the character seeing something, it's not giving the reader the experience of what is going on in the scene. So to make it easier on your readers and to make you a better writer, delete she saw, delete she watched. So you're going to change it from she watched as Jane slammed the door to Jane slammed the door, leaving Becky on the sofa alone to reflect on the harsh words she'd chosen during their argument. So you're creating a new scene. Obviously, like, these are my words. You don't need to be using my words, and forgive me for cocking up there. But we don't want to know what a character saw. We want to envision the scene ourselves as a reader. So let us have that experience firsthand and not secondhand through someone else's eyes. So then we can perceive how we want to perceive it or how we read it. Another writer mistake: eyes darting, eyes cut. Well, if your eyes are darting, my God, what's in your sockets, because your eyes will be darting here, there and everywhere, bouncing off the walls probably. So it's her gaze or his gaze darted, or his gaze or her gaze cut to wherever, or they looked. But please, body parts don't move by themselves. Her shoulders didn't drop by themselves. She relaxed her shoulders if she's feeling a little down. So that is another one of those, and we're all guilty of it. We've all done it. I've done it. I've probably got to go through a few of my books and delete a few out. So I'm just informing you of what I'm coming across in my writing career, because hand on my heart again, I'm guilty. And I try and help a lot of author friends out, and if I come across anything that's new to me and I see another author doing it, I will help that author. I'm not spiteful. I'm not into doing things for myself, but that's another story. Let's get back to this. I tend to dawdle on. So again, dialogue. A lot of newbie writers use dialogue as their story. So basically you could have two characters doing this for your 2.5, 3.5, 4 hour read, just doing this, dialogue, 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 no story. Although you can create some story through dialogue, you need to write narration, you need to write actions. That is a big no-no, and I am seeing that one hell of a lot in a lot of authors coming up. So please make sure that you don't have this much dialogue on a page and then, like 3 words of narration or action. You need to get your readers to visualize what you're seeing in your head. You need to get that down on paper or on your computer. You need to explain. Pretend that you can see and you're telling a story to someone, and please forgive me for using this, no derogatory meant, but pretend you're telling your story to a blind person. They cannot see what you are writing or what you are telling, showing. So you need to describe as much as possible. You need to get a storyline in there, and make it interesting. Don't just say he scratched his head, or she picked her nose, things like that. Make it an interesting story. Nodded, smiled, grinned. your characters do more than this. If you spent an entire day nodding, smiling and grinning, you would know that, you know, that's a big no-no. You don't do that all day long. So I know a lot of writers, they don't realise that they're writing that in the story. So please just go over your work and check for repetitive words. And if you have an issue of like scrolling through, just click on the find in the top ribbon of your Word doc and click find, and then a search will come up on the left hand side. Type in that word and search, and it will show you in a strip down of all the words that you've used. So if you use nod or nodded, it will show you that you've used it. Now if you've done excessively, it will even come up with a comment, there were too many to find. You know you've done way too many if your Word doc tells you that, okay? So just keep your smiling and nodding and grins to a minimum, because your characters can do an awful lot more. You know, they can cough and sneeze, have hiccups, they, you know, bad habits. Look at me, I've got my hand rested and I'm not even conscious of it. And that's what you need to include, is your character flaws. Things they don't even know they're doing, but they just do because it's normal to them. It's a habit. So just try and show us things going around. Another thing that really puts me off a book is when someone writes okay, as in the letters okay. We're not writing a text message on a phone. Please spell it out, okay. A couple of my author friends, they giggle and laugh with me at this because I caught them on it, and now, you know, they will mention it when we have some author grillings on one of the sites I co-admin, and it comes up quite often, and one of my author friends, she will have a laugh with me over it, but it made her aware of it and she doesn't do it anymore. And then what is it we got? Then there's the typical not following through with the character is doing in a scene. So for instance, I'm gonna give you a naughty scene here. Quite some time ago, a friend of mine asked me to read their book, and what did I think of the sex scene? And when I got to it, I was like, well, how did they do that? Because they'd got the woman on all fours, they're doing the do from behind, but then they're telling me that her erect nipples were pointing directly to the ceiling. Now, I don't know about you, my boobs aren't small, and I tried to play this one out, and I was pushing them. Believe me, I was pushing those boobs around to see what I could do, and they would not point to the ceiling. So please make sure you know what you're writing, follow it through. And what I tend to do is when I've got to the end of a page or to the end of a major scene, and if I'm thinking, okay, I can actually stop here because the flow isn't really coming so much, I'm going to go back over that and I backtrack and I find out exactly what my characters are doing. And then even if I go away for a day or two and then I start a new scene, I won't just start writing, I will backtrack the last couple of paragraphs or maybe even that chapter and get reacquainted with it and what they're doing, because life goes on, we all forget things, and there may have been something that you wanted to write and you think, yes, in the next scene I'm going to put that in, and then you forget about it, and that would have made a lot of sense at the time, but then when you reread it, it's like, well, you know, this doesn't make sense. Probably like my rambling on. I explain in all my videos, I am nervous, I'm not a talker, I am a writer, so it is hard for me to talk. But so just make sure when you write your scenes, you have, even get yourself a little pad and just do little bullet points of what you want your characters to be doing in certain scenes, and then that way you know you're not going to mess that up. Also, we have the scenic value. Excuse me. So many authors forget to write about what's around the character, and I've said this in the other videos too. Yeah, you have to include everything that's going on, or not everything, but make us feel like if you're in that front room and you have a sofa and the lamps and the TV tables, make us feel like we're sitting in there with you. You're not just in the front room. We need to know colors and textures. But again, you have to be careful how you write that. Don't just write, the sofa was beige and corduroy, the lamp was green. Introduce them slowly, and you can maybe say Sarah walked into the front room and sat on the velvety green sofa. And then a few lines later you could write, and she turned on the table lamp. No, turned on the table lamp. God, she's not going to have sex with it. God. She switched on the table lamp, and just describe. It was a glass. What do you call it? Glass stand with a cream shade, whatever type of lamp you want to use in your scene. But just give us an idea of what is in that room. And the same with outside. She's not going to just sit on the grass. There's a tree. It could be an old tree. It could be a new young tree. The leaves could be that nice lush limey green or a deep green. The breeze rustles through the leaves and the sunbeams come down through the branches. Give us something to make us want to keep reading your story. She wouldn't just sit on the ground.